Hey, what's up? John Sonmez here from simpleprogrammer.com. So I got an email about an article. I'm not going to read the article because the concept is more important than the article itself. But the article is about plagiarism, and it was titled "Computer Science Students Should Learn to Cheat, Not Be Punished for It." And I thought this was interesting because what this article had talked about was the idea that plagiarism shouldn't be penalized in computer science, that most, like 50% of academic violations for plagiarism come from the comp sci students, and it's because they've copied 100 lines of code. That's not the same. And it's really interesting because the author of the article goes on to talk about how colleges aren't as effective, and I agree with him on that, and that coding boot camps might be a better way to go, and I agree with him on that. But I totally 100% disagree with him on the plagiarism bit, and I'll tell you why. So here's the thing. With plagiarism, I get the point. I really get the point about saying that, hey, in the real world, in a job environment, you go and you search on Stack Overflow and you find some code, or you go and you lift some code from somewhere because that's how we do it, right? As a software developer, I've done this plenty of times. I've gone out and I've found code and I've copy and pasted some of that code. Right? I'll get to that in a second. But I've gone out and found code somewhere else, found out how someone is doing it. That's the standard way. And to be a really good software developer, you need to have that skill set. You need to be able to go out and find the answer to your problem and not always try and code up everything or come up with the algorithm yourself. It often makes sense to go and find the answer. But here's where things get a little bit tricky, and here's where I'm going to disagree about the plagiarism point for a couple of reasons. So first of all, it's fine to go out and try to find an answer to a problem, but it's not fine to go out and copy and paste that code, okay? You hear what I'm saying? Because when you do that, that means that you don't understand the code. You're just taking some random code chunk and putting it into your code base, and you might not understand exactly what it's doing, okay? And you're not really gonna fully understand it until you write that code. So I've got no problem with going out and finding the answer, right? You don't have to come up with a bubble sort algorithm on your own. I don't use the bubble sort algorithm, by the way. But you don't have to come up with a sort algorithm on your own, but you should probably, at least if you're going to put it in a code base, implement it yourself. So if you go out and you find an answer on Stack Overflow, great, and someone's got a code sample, great, but rewrite the code, write it yourself, right? Don't just copy it exactly how it is with all the variable names, right? Even if you're pretty close to copying it line for line, that's fine. But you know, if it's 5 lines and it does a very specific thing, that's one thing. But if it's 100 lines, like they're saying in this article, you should not be copying that whole thing. You should be writing that code, rewriting that code, making it your own so that you understand what it does. Like I said, even at the end of the day, if it ends up doing basically the same thing and you're basically paraphrasing it, it has a huge amount of value. So, and I'd especially say this in an academic setting, right? Even though in the real world, yes, we're going out and we're looking for code samples and we're taking bits and pieces there. That's a smart skill set to have. If you're learning to code, you need to make sure you understand the code. It does not hack it. It does not make sense to go out and grab code from other places and put that into your project. The whole point was that you're supposed to implement it. Especially, I think there's a lack of understanding here, but if you're a computer science student and you're supposed to implement a sorting algorithm, okay, and you go and you lift the code from somewhere, even if you rewrite it, if you've lifted it, if you've cheated, if you haven't gone through the process of thinking it through, you're missing out. The whole point of doing something like creating a sorting algorithm or doing some kind of a computer science algorithm is that that you're supposed to do this, right? That you're supposed to learn this and figure this stuff out. Okay, so that's what I gotta say about that. I get the point again, and like I said, I'm not saying that you don't go out and you don't like find inspiration, that you don't go out and you reinvent the wheel every time. But if you're gonna write some code, if you're gonna put some code in a code base, you need to really understand that code. That means you've got to write that code, okay? That means you can rewrite it, you can paraphrase it. I don't give a shit at what you do there, But just copying and pasting, that's ridiculous. And then in an academic setting, certainly, I agree that there should be harsh penalties for that, because that's just not acceptable. What's the point? Why are you going there if you're just gonna, and just, you know, just for your own, for those of you that might consider this, don't waste your fucking time and your money going to college, going to school, and actually not learning anything, especially if you're going to do computer science stuff and learn algorithms. Actually learn that stuff. So I actually got something for you guys that I've discovered that is actually really useful. If you're thinking about learning how to do programming algorithms and how to do coding interviews, I haven't talked about this before, but I discovered something that's really cool. It's called Interview Cake. I'm going to put a link here to it. It's an affiliate link, of course, but it's something that I'm going to heavily start promoting at Simple Programmer because it's so fucking awesome. I mean, seriously, this is awesome stuff. Like a lot of you have asked me about algorithms, how to learn algorithms, and how to do that effectively. And I haven't had a perfect answer for you. I've pointed to some of my Pluralsight courses, but I can totally recommend Interview Cake now. So that's what I'm going to recommend as a resource. Go check them out. Let me know what you think. You know, use the link there and let me know, because this is pretty cool. So anyway, that's all I got to say about that. Don't cheat. You know, and again, that site is going to help you to actually learn this stuff, but don't cheat. It doesn't make sense. It's not like the real world. Even in the real world, okay? Don't cheat. Don't go and, if you don't understand the code, it's really bad if you put it into a code base. Trust me, someone will someday find you, hunt you, and kill you for doing that, okay? All right, that's all I gotta say about that. If you like this video, if you haven't subscribed already, click that subscribe button. And if you wanna get updates as soon as I release a video, click that bell. I'll talk to you next time. Take care.